Welcome back, brother. In a world where most men lose themselves chasing love, approval, and validation, you are here for something deeper. You're here not just to learn how women work, but to master how you work, and that changes everything. This video isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about understanding the subtle, often invisible ways men lose power not through weakness, but through unconscious patterns of emotional dependence. We've all been there, saying things like, "I can't live without you, you're all I have," or trying too hard to prove we're enough. At first, it sounds romantic, but over time, it slowly destroys your inner strength, your magnetism, your core. So what if I told you that the secret to being unforgettable is not in doing more, but in becoming less available, more grounded, and radically self-possessed? In this journey, we've uncovered the psychology behind emotional independence, the consequences of over-pursuing, and the quiet power of restraint. We've shown that your presence, not your praise, is what truly captivates her. And when you stop chasing, you don't lose her. You find you. Let's walk through this lesson together, not just as theory, but as transformation. Because the most attractive man isn't the loudest in the room. He's the one who can sit in silence and still be felt. Now, let's begin. Number 1. The hidden danger of emotional dependence. Welcome back. If you're here, it's because you want to understand something most men ignore until it's too late. Why needing her too much slowly kills the attraction. Let's be honest. You've probably heard someone say, "I can't live without her," or "I don't have anyone else but you." It sounds romantic in movies, but in real life, it's a confession of weakness, a surrender of power, a message that says, "You have control over me. My worth depends on your attention." And that is where everything starts to fall apart. From a Stoic perspective, love without boundaries becomes slavery. Emotional dependence is not love. It's desperation dressed in affection. Think about it. When you tell a woman she's your only source of happiness, what you're really doing is handing her the remote control to your emotions. You're saying, "My peace is no longer mine. It belongs to you." That's not love. That's a loss of self. A man who cannot stand on his own, who needs to be constantly reassured, constantly validated, is not a man she respects. He becomes predictable, easy to read, and worst of all, easy to walk away from. Why? Because emotional dependence feels heavy. It strips away the mystery, the challenge, the magnetic tension that makes her curious. And when the mystery dies, so does the desire. According to Epictetus, you only control your thoughts and actions, not the emotions of others. This isn't just a Stoic teaching. It's the foundation of attraction. When you depend on her emotional feedback to feel okay, you're giving up control of your inner world. Imagine this. You text her 5 times. She hasn't responded, and now your day collapses. You're checking your phone, overthinking, wondering what you did wrong. Your energy becomes anxious. You act from fear. That's not masculinity, that's insecurity. What if instead you trusted your worth? What if silence didn't shake you? What if you let go of needing a response and focused on your mission, your presence, your power? That is where real attraction begins. Because women don't fall in love with boys who beg for reassurance. They fall in love with men who choose them without needing them. When you hold your ground, when your emotions remain stable, even when she tests you, even when she pulls away, you show strength, inner strength, and nothing is more attractive than that. So stop chasing, stop pouring your energy into proving your worth, and start reclaiming your center. Because here's the truth, the more dependent you become on her approval, the less she values you. But the more you live in your own light, the more she's drawn to understand it. And if you master this balance, she won't just respect you, she'll crave you. Number 2, what happens when you depend too much? Let's get real. When your emotional world rises and falls based on whether she texts you back, you've already lost the battle for her respect. Because here's what happens, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. She starts to feel watched, not seen in a beautiful soul-connecting way, but watched in a way that feels pressured, like every mood, every silence, every choice of hers becomes your weather system. And at first, she might try to reassure you. She might respond, explain, try to comfort. But over time, that energy exhausts her. It drains her sense of freedom, and freedom is the oxygen of attraction. Let's say she's been distant. She's going through something. And you, feeling anxious, text her something like, "I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. I need to know if you still care." You may think you're being vulnerable, but from her side, she doesn't see strength. She sees a man folding under pressure, not holding his ground, not radiating self-trust, but collapsing emotionally for her to catch. And if she has to carry both your emotions and hers, it's only a matter of time before she drops both. Now contrast that with this. She's distant. You feel it. You miss her. But you don't chase. You don't send paragraph after paragraph or ask, "Are we okay?" Instead, you send one short, grounded message like, "I'm here. Take your time." And then you return to your purpose. You go lift, build, reflect. You meet your day with presence, with masculine stillness. You become the calm she can return to, not the storm she has to manage. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Dependence is a thief. It steals your stillness." And the moment she feels that you're not okay, unless she acts a certain way, that you need her to be whole, her primal brain registers one thing: he is not the anchor I thought he was. And attraction begins to wither. This is why so many men sabotage good relationships. Not because they were rude, not because they didn't love enough, but because they loved from fear. They loved from lack. They forgot that attraction dies the moment you lose your center. So what's the solution? Not apathy, not pretending you don't care, but choosing to care without collapsing, to love her, but never abandon yourself, to desire her, but never depend on her for your emotional oxygen. Because when you show her that your peace is intact, that your heart is full, without needing to be filled, she stops running. She becomes curious. She feels safe. And strangely enough, she comes closer. That's the paradox of emotional independence. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you irresistibly warm. Because it's not fueled by need, it's fueled by choice. And women feel the difference. Number 3, how to build emotional independence without becoming cold. Emotional independence isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's not about putting on a stone face, cutting off your heart, or playing cold to look strong. That's not strength, that's avoidance. True emotional independence is warmth with roots. It's feeling deeply but not being swept away. It's being present but not needy. It's opening your heart without handing it over. So how do you build that kind of power? Start with this Stoic principle. Some things are in our control, others are not. Epictetus. Every time you feel that pull, the one that makes you want to text her 5 times, check if she viewed your story or ask if she still loves you. You pause, you breathe, and you ask yourself, is this within my control? Because here's the truth. Her feelings, her mood, her choices, not yours. But your reaction, your time, your focus, that's yours. That's your battlefield. That's your throne. So instead of feeding the fire of anxiety, redirect that energy. Channel it into things that expand you, not shrink you. Work on your craft. Go lift something heavy. Call your brothers. Read philosophy. Make something real. You don't do these things to distract yourself. You do them to remind yourself that you are a full man with or without her attention. Because here's what most men forget. Your emotional independence is what makes her feel safe. When she knows that you're not going to spiral every time she pulls back, when she senses that your world doesn't fall apart, if she takes space when she sees that you can hold your own peace while giving her hers, that's when she starts trusting you, not just as a partner, but as a pillar. You become the grounded presence in a chaotic world. And it's not just attractive, it's unforgettable. But let's go deeper. What actually feeds your independence? Two things: a life that excites you, not a life built for her, but a life that burns with your own mission. Because if she is your entire life, of course you'll fear losing her. But when she's a beautiful addition to a powerful life, you relate from choice, not survival, and self-trust, not arrogance, but that quiet voice that says, no matter what happens, I've got me. That's built by keeping your word to yourself, by doing hard things when no one is watching, by becoming the kind of man you would look up to. And here's a little secret. The less you chase her, the more you chase your mission, the more she begins to chase your energy. Because women don't fall in love with men who beg. They fall for men who belong to themselves. That's who you're becoming. So if you're feeling that fear, if you're tempted to overreach, overtext, overshare, pause, breathe, and remember, you don't need her attention to be whole. You already are. And that quiet, grounded truth, that's what draws her in deeper than anything else. Number 4. The hidden benefits of emotional independence that she feels instantly. When you master emotional independence, not by detaching, but by becoming centered, you don't just change how you feel. You change how the world responds to you, especially her. You become the man whose energy doesn't ask, "Am I enough?" You become the man whose presence says, "I know who I am with or without your validation." And that shift, it changes everything. Because here's what most people won't tell you. Women are not attracted to your feelings. They're attracted to your ability to hold your feelings. That subtle strength, the one that doesn't break under pressure, doesn't beg for attention, doesn't collapse when things get uncertain, that's what makes her feel safe. It's not the flowers or the poems or the confessions of undying love that keep her invested. It's this. The way you hold your own chaos without spilling it on her. The way you can say, "I want you, but not I need you," to feel whole. That's where real desire lives. Because here's the paradox. The less you emotionally chase her, the more emotionally connected she becomes. Why? Because when you stop trying to control how she feels, you give her the space to feel freely. And that freedom, it creates real connection, not coerced intimacy. She begins to lean in because she wants to, not because you're pulling on her. She begins to crave your presence because it calms her, not because you're demanding it. And that's when the relationship shifts from survival mode to a place of sovereign attraction. But it doesn't stop there. Emotional independence gives you freedom. Freedom from mood swings, freedom from insecurity, freedom from the exhausting highs and lows of "does she like me today?" You become your own source. And that changes your decisions too. You stop tolerating chaos. You stop chasing people who ghost you. You stop explaining your worth. Why? Because you're no longer a man negotiating for love. You're a man offering love grounded, secure, and whole. You stop playing to win her attention and start moving in alignment with your values. You stop asking, "Will she stay?" and start asking, "Does this connection align with who I'm becoming?" That's power, that's clarity, that's peace. And ironically, that's when they start chasing you, not because you're manipulative, not because you're playing games, but because you radiate the one thing most men never figure out how to generate on their own: centeredness. Number 5, a relationship built on choice, not need. Welcome to the final truth. This is the part most men overlook because it's not about what to say, what to do, or how to behave. It's about why you're in the relationship in the first place. Is it out of need or out of conscious choice? A man who needs her to complete him will always live in fear. Fear of loss, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough, and fear is the death of desire. Because when a woman senses that you're staying because you're afraid to be alone, her respect begins to evaporate. Not because she's cruel, but because you've turned love into obligation. And obligation kills the very mystery, spark, and tension that romance requires. But the man who doesn't need her yet chooses her. That man is rare and magnetic and unforgettable because she knows. He's not with her because he's desperate. He's with her because he sees her value, and even more because he knows his own. That's when love becomes beautiful again. Not a transaction, not a dependency, but a connection between two whole people who want each other not because they're broken, but because they resonate. That's the highest form of intimacy, and it starts with emotional independence. It starts the moment you stop making her the center of your world and start becoming the center of your own. It starts when you wake up and realize you can love her deeply without needing her to define your worth. You can be devoted without becoming dependent. You can care profoundly without collapsing into her moods, approval, or attention. That's when she sees you as the anchor, not the wave, the lighthouse in the storm, the man she chooses again and again, not because you begged, not because you chased, but because you stood still in your strength while the world tried to pull you out of yourself. Number 6. Why emotional independence sparks male respect. In a world where emotional availability is often mistaken for vulnerability, many men are seduced into thinking that expressing every emotional need is a sign of intimacy. But here's the truth. Emotional independence is not coldness, it's strength. And strength, when tempered with calm presence, is the quiet fire that earns lasting respect from women. Respect is not begged for, it is evoked through how you carry yourself when no one is validating you, when she pulls away, or when you are alone with your own insecurities. Women do not consciously decide to respect a man, they feel it. And what they feel most deeply is your ability to remain centered, unshaken by the storms they sometimes bring, and uninterested in proving your worth. Epictetus reminds us, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. When a woman grows distant or moody, most men panic. They think they've done something wrong and they overcompensate. They text more, they plead, they ask questions they shouldn't. This isn't love. It's fear wearing the mask of care, and fear never commands respect. What's missed is this. When a woman senses that her emotional pull doesn't rattle you, that her absence does not crumble your self-worth, she feels safe, not because you're indifferent, but because you are in control. A woman doesn't want to be the center of your world. She wants to orbit a man who has a world of his own. Let's be clear, respect is the foundation of attraction. If she doesn't respect your inner strength, she may enjoy you, but she will not stay. She may feel touched by your devotion, but she will not submit to your energy. Women do not submit to neediness. They submit to calm dominance, the kind that makes her want to follow your lead without you ever needing to say it. In practical terms, emotional independence means you are emotionally generous but never emotionally addicted. You can love deeply, but you do not fall apart when she is unavailable. You enjoy her presence, but you don't need her presence to validate your identity. And when she tests you, and she will, you do not react like a boy who fears abandonment, but like a man who walks with a deeper purpose. Imagine a scenario. She becomes distant for a few days. You don't panic, you don't chase, you live your life. You hit the gym, dive deeper into your purpose, and when she returns, you welcome her warmly, but not desperately. What does she feel? Mystery, intrigue, and most importantly, respect for your emotional boundaries. This is the essence of Stoic love: to love without attachment, to give without clinging, to desire without being devoured by desire. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." This applies directly to the emotional waves that relationships bring. Your ability to endure the discomfort of not knowing, of not chasing, of being okay even when she isn't, this makes you powerful. Respect doesn't arise from your looks, income, or charm. It comes from your internal frame, the structure of your mind and emotions. Women feel it, they test it, and when they realize they cannot shake it, they begin to admire it. That admiration over time deepens into loyalty, not out of obligation, but because she feels something in your presence that she doesn't feel with most men. Grounded masculinity. So remember, emotional independence isn't about coldness or playing games. It's about mastering your internal state. It's about loving from overflow, not from lack. And most of all, it's about embodying the truth that you are enough with or without her. Number 7. When you stop chasing her, she begins to feel you differently. There's a moment subtle but seismic when a man stops chasing, not because he's angry, not because he's playing a game, but because something within him clicks. He remembers who he is. And in that moment, everything shifts. A man who chases is not in control. He's reacting to her moods, to her distance, to his fear of losing her. Every word he sends, every effort he makes is laced with anxiety. He's trying to prove he's worthy of staying in her orbit, when in reality, every step he takes toward her only pushes her further away. Here's what most men don't realize. Women feel when you're out of alignment. They feel the lack of center in your words. They sense when your energy says, "Please validate me." And no matter how noble your intentions, that kind of pursuit triggers a deep biological response in her. It tells her she's the prize and you're the seeker. And in her subconscious mind, the seeker is replaceable. Now enter the man who stops chasing, not with bitterness, but with clarity. He becomes still. He stops asking why she's pulling away. He doesn't craft the perfect message or replay conversations in his head. Instead, he reclaims his time, his thoughts, his space. He moves in the direction of his mission, not her approval. What happens next? She begins to feel him in a new way. She doesn't hear him, she feels him. Because when you stop chasing, your energy no longer screams, "I need you." It radiates, "I remember myself." And to a woman, this energy is rare, precious, magnetic. You see, what she truly desires is not your constant attention. It's your grounded presence. She wants to know that she can feel you without you always being there, that you're not grasping, you're not begging, you're simply being calm, unwavering, and rooted. And here's where Stoicism enters. Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When you chase, you surrender your freedom to something external, her attention, her affection, her response. But when you stop chasing, you reclaim your soul. You're no longer waiting to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. Practical example. Let's say she hasn't texted back. Instead of spiraling, you go for a walk. You meditate, you pour yourself into something meaningful. You don't suppress the emotion, you observe it, let it rise, let it fall. You breathe, you remain unmoved. You trust your value, even in silence. And then, when she reaches out again, and she will, you don't rush to respond with excitement or relief. You reply when you feel aligned, with warmth, but with strength. You're not chasing her presence, you're inviting her into your world. This is not about manipulation. It's about energy, polarity. The masculine holds, the feminine flows. The moment you chase, you flip that polarity and she begins to withdraw. But the moment you hold your ground, she feels safe to move toward you again. Marcus Aurelius once said, The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In the same way, the best response to her pulling away isn't to pull harder. It's to release, to rise, to grow so deeply into your center that she wonders how she ever mistook your stillness for absence. Because when a man stops chasing, the silence speaks for him, and she begins to wonder not just where you are, but who you've become. And now you see it was never about proving anything to her. It was about remembering who you are with or without her. Each of the 7 truths you've just learned is not about control, not about dominance, but about reclaiming your soul, your focus, your center. And once you do that, something powerful happens. She stops looking at your words and starts feeling your energy. Because the moment you stop chasing is the moment she begins to feel your absence like gravity. And what she truly wants is not a man who begs, but a man who leads. Remember what Epictetus taught. You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has the power to break my freedom of choice. That is what you own. And no woman, no silence, no rejection can take that from you unless you offer it willingly. So if you're walking this path now, if you're ready to become the man who is felt in the room without saying a word, then this is your invitation. Write on the path in the comments and claim your power back. And if this message struck something deep in you like a quiet bell of truth, then subscribe, hit the bell, and stay close. Because here we don't teach men how to chase love, we teach them how to embody it. Until next time, walk like your soul is watching, and let her come find you.